If the gentleman would
And we passed the unanimous consent.
I want to know what they said,
Okay.
and I want it on the record.
They'll be put in the record. We had a unanimous consent to do so.
Yeah, and if the gentleman would yield.
Yes.
We were told that the documents were produced under an agreement with the majority that they were to be confidential and were not to be copied or in any way disseminated.
And
We
at the request of OMB, right?
okay, but
Yeah.
what happened was in between yesterday when I found this out at about 7 p.m. last night and today, it turned out that number one, the majority released a number of these documents to the press, and number two, the majority apparently took some of these documents, excerpted them in the way that the chairman emeritus is saying, and put them on slides, which we have never been provided. I'm going to tell you, Mr. Chairman, I've been on this subcommittee for 15 years, and I am just as much concerned about this Solyndra loan as everybody else is. But the way that the information has just been parceled out, the witnesses don't have the full copies of the emails in front of them. The minority doesn't have the full copies of the emails in front of them until we ask for them. That is not in the grand tradition of the subcommittee.
We've heard your argument in your opening statement, and we made a unanimous consent. They all be part of the document. I'm told that your staff was given all these documents. OMB is the one that specified that. We have now agreed that we're going to make them all public.
They were subpoenaed from OMB. OMB doesn't have the right to tell us whether we can copy the documents or not.
We have all agreed that OMB can't tell us, and we're going to make these public, and so I appreciate your concern. We have a unanimous consent from a member who's on the committee but not on the subcommittee, the gentleman from Kansas, Mr. Pompeo. Is there any objection to allowing him in the first round? We're going to go for a second round.
Well,
is there any objection to allow him to ask questions?
I have no objection, but I'd like to understand if we're going to get those documents, and if we are going to have a second.
Your point is you have the documents, but you want to make sure the documents are available to.
No, I want to see them.
Okay. Well, as I understand from my counsel, we've provided all the documents to you. They were produced to both sides at some time. You have them now. Is it possible your staff has not made them available to you?
Well, I understand that it is the committee staff to make these available to all members of the committee, and I understand the committee staff works for all of them.
Well, I think that
if I'm in error,
my staff has told me that we have provided you.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, what happened was we were told we could look at the documents, but we couldn't copy them, and that under some kind of agreement the majority made with the OMB that the documents could not be disseminated in any way, which is frankly a ridiculous agreement if the majority made that. But in addition, always in the past, in the subcommittee, we've had, if we questioned on documents, we had the full document available for everybody and for the witnesses so that they could review those and give their answers. Instead, what we've had today is these slides which were made taking quotes out of the documents without providing the documents to anybody.
I think, in conclusion, I think the fact that you and Mr. Dingle's point is that these documents should have been made available in a tab so that they could go to the tab.
Mr. Chairman,
I think that's it.
Mr. Chairman, if I can ask a question.
Sure.
I think from everything I'm hearing, the emails that are in question are emails from Department of Energy staff. Doesn't Mr. Silver already have access to all of that?
That's not necessarily access.
Those are people that work under him at his agency who communicated back and forth that we had to subpoena, but I don't think he has to subpoena to get his own documents from his
Mr.
agency.
Chairman, we are not complaining about whether Mr. Silver has these emails or not. I think it was. We do not have the emails.
Well, and
I find myself affronted that I'm reading about these things in the newspaper and I'm not having them presented to me. That is the most serious way to proceed about congressional investigation.
We have a little disagreement here, but out of deference to you, I'll take your criticism under advisement. And let's continue on.
May we have a 2-minute
That does not comfort me. When you take it under advisement, that means I might hear about it sometime before the end of the session if I'm lucky.
Right.
I do not view that as being an adequate answer for my concerns. I don't like the precedent which I see being set here. I'm going to read about these things in the press, And I don't like at all the fact that we are having all manners of inferences drawn by the majority, while the minority has not seen the documents. And so I'm not comforted by these matters being taken under advisement.
But the gentleman has done his job much more than...
Be addressed now, not at some future.
Okay. The
Not at
gentleman
some future time.
has done this job more years than I have ever done it, or will do. I respect his opinion. We have a little disagreement in the fact is, we say we've given you all the documents. The fact that you don't have them in front of you is not necessarily our fault.
Well, maybe
Staff is...
I have to raise the question of whose staff we're going to fire. We're going to fire the majority staff or the minority staff.
Well, I think there's a
If the
misunderstanding.
minority staff is making this kind of a decision, they're going well beyond their powers, well beyond their authorities. If the minority staff is doing it, we're going to thrash this out inside the minority and find out why in the hell they're doing it.
I suggest you do that, and then you and I talk.
Well, I suggest that we talk now because this is the business of the committee, and I find the business of the committee being conducted in a curious way.
Well, the curious way is that you don't recognize that you have all the documents when my staff has provided all the documents to you, so we're a little puzzled why we're discussing why you don't have all the documents.
No, the problem is,
Where are
Well,
the
that's
documents? If
Okay.
I have had them presented to me. I'm anxious to see them.
Okay, well, I think what we're going to do is continue this discussion, but I want to let the gentleman from Kansas, I recognize him for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the minority for allowing me to participate in the hearing today.